Battle of Hong Kong was one of the first battles of the Pacific War. On the 8th December, the same morning as the attack on Pearl Harbor, Imperial Japanese troops in Guangdong stole over the border and attacked the colony. The British had a difficult campaign as there was no control of the air while the troops were outnumbered. In the first day of the attack, the small Royal Air Force stationed in Hong Kong was destroyed at the outset by the Japanese bombing, so the Japanese had complete air supremacy over the city. The Japanese troops poured across the border, engaging the outnumbered British and Commonwealth troops dug in along their defensive line. The lines quickly collapsed 2 days later, and Japanese troops continued to advance southward towards the Kowloon Peninsula. The British began to evacuate all troops to Hong Kong Island, and by the 13th all troops had left the peninsula. While both forces faced each other across the harbor, the Japanese called for surrender a few times but were rejected. Japanese artillery and aircraft conducted an intense bombardment on Hong Kong Island and began landing in the evening of 18th December. The Royal Navy's 2nd Motor Torpedo Flotilla only had a few motor torpedo boats left to defend the sea, but they conducted one of the most daring daylight attacks in World War II. The flotilla sent the boats to Victoria Harbour to attack and shoot up the enemy vessels in sight. Torpedo boat number 7 and 9 led the first attack. While passing the naval dockyard, one enemy plane dived in but Lewis gun prevented it from coming lower. It then broke off when the boats engaged by fire from the shore. Unbeknown to the flotilla, the Japanese had already established a beachhead on the island in North Point. The boats sighted numbers of landing craft crossing from east of Holt's Wharf and making for North Point. MTB-7 signaled MTB-9 to attack independently and both began to increase speed. They were under intense machine gun fire, howitzers and light artillery fire from both shores, also from cannon and machine gun fire from aircraft. The Japanese apparently being to group their crafts in threes, one fitted with a motor towing the other two. MTB-7 opened fire on the landing craft with all 5 Lewis guns at 100 yards range, with excellent effect, and passed down the leading string at a distance of about 5 yards, firing continuously, and the landing craft capsized under the waves created by the boat. MTB-9 shot up a group of 3 landing craft. The group has capsized but the leading motor craft was still underway and turned back towards Kowloon for shelter. MTB-9 reduced speed to deal with the craft and was put out of action by the Lewis gun and Bren light automatic from the conning tower. MTB-7 came under intense fire from both shores and from wrecks in the harbor. It was hit several times and a cannon shell exploded in the engine room, putting an engine out of action and a crew was killed. The speed was reduced but the boat turned to fire at a second group of landing crafts at point-blank range with excellent effect. But another hit by cannon shell put another engine out of action and another crew was killed. The speed was further reduced and making water in the engine room. So MTB-7 had no choice but to extricate and headed back to base. While MTB-7 conducting the attack, MTB-9 proceeded further up Kowloon Beta within 500 meters off the junks moored there, firing at a sampan and a landing craft making for the shelter. Course then altered towards the Channel Rocks and fire opened from close range on small boats aground on the rocks behind which a few Japanese took cover. Then turned back westward. Enemy fire was becoming more intense, but the boat kept firing at sunken ships and junks. A single motor landing craft was spotted retiring north and the boat altered course towards Wahoa Dock and shot it up with the Bren guns. It then retired in the same direction as MTB-7. 2 boats retired towards the west of the harbor under constant fire from both shores. The sky was filled with Japanese planes and 3 came in for an attack. MTB-7 directed fire against them. 1 seems to be shot and made off towards Kowloon and did not return. Once the boats passed Naval Dockyard, the fire subsided. After leaving the harbor, MTB-7 last engine gave out and had to be taken in tow by MTB-9. Both safely reached the second naval base at the south of the island. As the Japanese were now on full alert of the MTB attack, the subsequent attacks by other boats were less successful. MTB-12 and 26 were lost to enemy fire. One of the wrecks was filmed by the Japanese after Hong Kong surrendered. This attack was little known in World War II, but it was arguably the most daring daylight motor torpedo boat's attack of all time, and was referred to as the balaclava of the sea by coastal forces worldwide. They were hailed the bravest of the brave.